Hey, welcome to our at-home film series. I'm your watch party host, Andre Walker. While we can't gather on Art Hill as we have in years past, we still wanted to continue this fun Summer St. Louis tradition in a new, virtual way. This year's theme, Summer Escapes. And we have an amazing lineup of films, trivia, food, and fun. We're swapping our picnic blankets and food truck favorites for sofas and carry-out specials from some of your go-to local restaurants. So grab your friends and family and join us right here every Friday night in July. A special thank you goes out to our event partner, Sauce Magazine, and all of our restaurant partners. Local restaurants have joined with us to provide some special menu options. Visit slam.org/film series to see the participating restaurants and to find a special movie-inspired recipe from Sauce Magazine. The Art Museum's collection includes art with fun and surprising connections to tonight's movie. Sit back and enjoy tonight's art chat, featuring this special work straight from the museum's collection.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Amy Torbert, the Assistant Curator of American Art at the St. Louis Art Museum. In order to set the stage for tonight's film, I'm going to share with you a painting titled The Land of Evangeline by the American artist Joseph Meeker. I chose this painting because it has so much in common with tonight's film, The Princess Bride. Though Meeker painted this work in his St. Louis studio, I'm sure you can guess from the craggy cypresses, trailing moss, and water all around that it does not take place in Missouri. Instead, it's located in the Louisiana bayous, somewhat near Baton Rouge. Meeker had visited this area during the American Civil War while he was stationed nearby. But he didn't rely only on his memories and sketches of this place to create this painting. Instead, just as The Princess Bride is based on a book of the same title, Meeker's painting is also based on a work of literature. In 1847, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow published a very long poem titled Evangeline, A Tale of a Katy. Like The Princess Bride, this poem has all of the elements of a great adventure: bravery, many obstacles for its heroes to overcome, and above all, true love. Longfellow's poem is a work of historical fiction loosely based on an 18th century event. His main characters are named Evangeline and Gabriel, his Princess Buttercup and Wesley, if you will. They had lived in Nova Scotia, known then as Acadia, until they were expelled by the British following a war. As they set off across North America as refugees in search of a new home, Evangeline was separated from Gabriel, her fiancé. In order to search for him, she joined a group of fellow Acadians who were making their way to Louisiana, where many ultimately settled. For his painting, Meeker chose a scene in which Evangeline has paused to rest in the bayous. She lies on the ground, wearing a white dress, asleep beneath a red canopy, while her companions wait nearby. I assume that many of you, like me, can recite much of The Princess Bride by heart. If you knew Longfellow's poem as well, you would recognize that, at this very moment while Evangeline sleeps, Gabriel passes nearby. So, just as you might yell at your screen later tonight, "No, no, no, do not go into the fire swamp," I would like to imagine that 19th century Evangeline fans might have looked at this painting and wailed, "Wake up! He's right there! Gabriel's passing right behind you! What are you doing? Wake up!" Or, something like that. But Meeker doesn't include Gabriel in his painting at all. The fact that he didn't is really interesting to me, because it reveals the popularity of Longfellow's poem with its readers. They don't need to see Gabriel in order to feel the emotions of this scene and to be able to imagine Evangeline's impending disappointment keenly. Sadly, Longfellow's poem ended tragically. Evangeline and Gabriel were reunited, but only decades later, in the moments immediately before Gabriel's death. I won't spoil the ending of tonight's movie, but with Longfellow's poem and Meeker's painting in mind, I hope that while watching it, you might think about why we love fairy tales and great adventure stories quite so much. And after you've watched it, I hope that you will visit the museum to see Meeker's painting in person. Good night and enjoy.
I'm excited to show people these real objects from ancient Egypt used by real people 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. We wanted to reinstall the Egyptian galleries to really give it a more permanent feeling. And we just also wanted to give it a new overall presentation, from the stars on the ceiling to closing out the light to really making it feel sort of darker, because much of the material is funerary in nature, so I really wanted to work with the natural context of the material. The way I decided to organize the gallery was sort of in two ways. The first was I wanted to do a chronological approach. Then I wanted to complement the chronology with some themes. So we have things like animals or religious dedications. We have two digital interactive presentations, and the first is one of the mummies, Amen-Nistawi Nacht, and so people can basically virtually unwrap him. Really what you see is the outer shell, the cartonnage, but there's a person inside, and you can see how he's laid out and some of the objects that were included in his body and how his body was embalmed. We've included a digital timeline, and what that does is it allows people to see objects in time and to kind of help people understand how old and how long ancient Egyptian culture lasted. I think the Egyptian galleries are important because they've been here for a long time, so a lot of people have memories of coming to the St. Louis Art Museum to see the mummies, to see Egyptian art, and I think there's just something inherently interesting in understanding how someone else lives, whether it's your neighbor or whether it's someone in ancient Egypt. I just think that human connection is really compelling and a fun thing for especially kids and families to explore.
So you think you're a movie buff? Put your knowledge about this film to the test and challenge your friends. Step into a fairy tale in tonight's film and come face to face with heroes, villains, giants, and of course, a princess in The Princess Bride. But before we get to the show, let's kick things off with amazing cocktail and mocktail recipes prepared by Slam Events. So we're back with my favorite bartender, Mincer, and he has another exciting drink that we can make right from our homes. Mincer, what are we working with today?
So today we're actually making the Fire Swamp cocktail. It's almost like a martini, and this cocktail is going to be based on The Princess Bride. So it's a nice, refreshing cocktail with a little bit of heat at the very end.
Oh, I'm excited.
So today's cocktail, we're gonna end up starting with a few slices of cucumber. We'll do some mint leaves.
One of my favorites. Become one of my favorites now.
Everyone loves a good mojito sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness.
We have agave nectar, half and half with hot water.
Okay.
And then we let jalapenos kind of just submerge in it.
Wow.
Kind of have those flavors infused. So we're gonna end up just muddling it together and get those flavors out of the mint as well as out of the cucumber.
Awesome. What is this tool called that you're messing with?
Just a muddler.
Muddler. Gotcha.
Yeah. If you don't have that, most people use a fork or even a spoon at home. And with that, we will do 1.5 ounces of gin. Do 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice. Some onions.
How many drinks can you get out of this? 1, 2,
This is just one drink,
1 drink. Okay.
almost like a martini size.
Okay.
So strictly just alcohol.
Just how I
Put the
like it.
cap on, and then we're gonna give it a good little shake. Go straight into the glass. Catch all those cucumber seeds. We'll finish it off with just a cucumber slice.
All right, let's give it a try. Oh, wow. Yeah, that has a really nice kick. And so if we were making the mocktail version of this, what would we do?
So the mocktail version of the Fire Swamp would be replacing the gin with about 1/4 a cup of cucumber juice as well as lime juice.
Who was Millet? Millet was one of the great artists of the 19th century. His work had a real capacity to shock people. The basic premise of the exhibition is to argue for a new narrative for the history of modern art. It's one that starts in the work of Millet and it moves through other canonical artists. It's surprising just how widespread his influence was. Van Gogh was obsessed by Millet. Claude Monet was greatly influenced by Millet's work. Salvador Dali. Dali produced a whole body of work which was actually inspired by one particular painting by Millet, the Angelus. Once you start to look into his work, you realize how radical it was, but also in terms of his subject matter. He was representing rural life, but it was modern rural life, and the complexities of that life in all its harshness and richness too. It also speaks fundamentally to the importance of human dignity. If you look at these paintings, they're about Millet justifying the importance of these workers. In the day and age in which we live today, that is an important message. These are paintings, drawings, pastels. They're coming from all over the world. You know, coming from Japan, from around America, from around Europe, all coming together in St. Louis. It's been exciting to see the show come together. It's really an exceptional, I would say once in a lifetime opportunity for people to see these works.
Sauce was the first culinary dedicated media publication in the metro area.
Our St. Louis food scene wouldn't be what it is without Sauce Magazine.
They also throw badass parties and they're about community.
The thing about Sauce is we are knee-deep local. We want to know what's happening to our neighbors, to the person around the corner, and that's why we started.
It's your fork, St. Louis.
It's your fork.
Your fork.
It's your plate, St. Louis.
It's your plate.
It's your table.
Your table.
It's your table.
It's your table.
It's your sauce, St. Louis.
It's been so amazing seeing all of your pics and videos with the hashtag @HomeFilmSeries. Let's keep it going. Tonight, we want you to find a work of art from the museum's collection that reminds you of a scene from The Princess Bride. Search for your favorites at slam.org/collection. Find a work that enchants you, share it on social, and tell us why. Be sure to tag us using hashtag @HomeFilmSeries and at STL Art Museum.
Contemporary art allows us to see things in the world that we wouldn't see every day.
Contemporary art is a great thing. It can be thought-provoking, it can engage with contemporary social and political realities, and art can also be fun.
When you come here, what's so fantastic is you can see the best of Renaissance art, the best of Chinese bronzes. You can see the history of German art through Beckmann and the Expressionists. And then you can come into these buildings and you can see world-class contemporary art that frames all of those movements and brings it into your own time. The East Building, which was designed by the British architect David Chipperfield, opened in 2013. It showcases light and this architectural framework that was made specifically to bring the best out of contemporary art.
You can kind of trace a trajectory from abstract expressionism through pop art and minimalism, right up to the most cutting-edge work which is being made today. The area of the collection which is particularly distinguishing is a post-war German art. So we have a great group of works by Gerhard Richter. I kind of joke that our kind of Mona Lisa of the contemporary collection is our Gerhard Richter Betty.
We have an amazing early Ellsworth Kelly Spectrum, which is just gorgeous in its luminosity and its color. We also have one of the most important works by Kerry James Marshall, Watts, 1963.
We have a work by a Ghanaian artist, Ellen Atsui, a really beautiful Joe Mitchell. If you look at our collection, it does reflect a global range of artists. We're looking now to acquire more work by important women artists, major African American artists, Native American artists.
Art being made by artists in real time.
But I think the most important thing just to realize is that engaging with contemporary art is rewarding. It really can improve your life, actually.
Thank you to our annual and BAC members for your support of the Art Museum during our COVID-19 shutdown. Museum members enjoy many benefits, including free admission to exhibitions, exclusive events, discounts, and more. Sounds good, right? For more information on how you can become a museum member, visit slam.org/membership.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Thomas, the Director of Annual Programs at the St. Louis Art Museum. I want to take a quick moment to thank all of our members in the audience this evening. It is through your support that makes programs like these possible. I look forward to welcoming you back to the museum very soon. And in the meantime, I hope you have your favorite snacks and enjoy tonight's movie.
Thank you to the members of the museum's Corporate Partnership Program. We are so grateful for your generous support during the closure and look forward to welcoming you back to the gallery soon.
I never actually started out to be a collector, but I loved art and I wanted to have art on the wall. I always loved having pictures on the wall. And so I started out buying one piece, another piece, and I was dabbling into it. Abstraction was my reason and my love and my passion for art, and that's why I collected it. I was able to connect up with some of those black artists that were part of a movement like abstract expressionism. We developed close relationships and close ties. I had my first exposure to any museum at the St. Louis Art Museum. And I just felt like because my mother and father exposed us to so many of the arts, I thought it was very appropriate to give it to the St. Louis Art Museum. That was my first and only choice, actually. When I see this work at the St. Louis Art Museum, It's just so satisfying, it's gratifying, and it gives me a sense that this work is going to live on. These artists are going to be remembered. I think when people really can embrace the work and take down their barriers, it's going to open their mind to new possibilities, perhaps. They'll take another look and another look and another look, and all of a sudden, they love abstraction.
For a quick and easy way to find where you can watch tonight's movie, check out Real Good, the universal search engine for all streaming services. Go to slam.org/film series, scroll to the How to Watch section, and find your preferred streaming service. Even though we couldn't bring our blankets and coolers to Art Hill, we hope you enjoyed the at-home film series and watch party activities. Once again, a big thank you to Sauce Magazine and all of our restaurant partners. We hope to see you next summer on Art Hill. So stay safe, be healthy, and thank you for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this final summer escape.